Hello everyone, and welcome to today's lesson where we are going to be figuring out, you guessed it, finding the size of an angle when two sides are given. So that's what we are tackling today, and you are going to find this really easy peasy because now we've been dealing with our trig ratios for a couple of lessons, so we should be feeling a lot more comfortable with our sine, cos and tan. Let's get stuck in. So you see, I've only done 2 examples because I really think that that will be more than enough for everybody to understand what we need to do. So let's start by looking at example 1. So the question here is to solve for x. So you'll notice now that x is in your triangle. X is an angle. So we're looking for the size of that angle. I'm still going to label my triangle with the sides, opposites, adjacent, and hypotenuse because we are still going to be using those same ideas in this question. So from the reference angle, let's see what we have. I have the adjacent side, 5, and I have the length of the hypotenuse, 8. So what does adjacent over hypotenuse create? Which trig ratio? We should all be shouting, Claire, it's cos of x is adjacent over hypotenuse. All right, so that's step 1, our very important step. From here, now we can find the size of this angle, and I'm going to show you on our calculators how we will do that. So I've written down here what we're trying to find. We're trying to find the size of this angle when we have the ratio 5 over 8 using cosine. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to press the shift button on your calculator, right? And then you're going to pick your function. So we said we're going to use cosine, cos. So I press shift, cos, and you see now what your calculator says. It looks like it's saying cos to the power of -1, but we'll chat about that a little bit later, what this all means. But now I simply punch in that ratio, 5 over 8. I press my equals to sign, and there's the size of my angle. It's going to be 51,32. Awesome. So before we just carry on, I'm just going to write down those steps for you. So we hit the shift button on our calculator. We saw it was the top left button on our calculator. You then choose your trigonomic ratio, right? The correct trigonomic function that we're going to be using. So in this case, it was cosine, cos. What happened then was your calculator shows this on the screen. It goes cos to the power of -1, and it opens up a bracket, right? That's what it looks like on your calculator. And when you open up the brackets and you have to fill in your ratio there, we had to fill in 5 over 8, and then we could solve for x. So at this point, your bracket is open, you fill in your ratio, close your bracket, and then press the equals to sign. All right, and when we did that, you saw in the little video I showed you, we found that the size of that angle is 51,32 degrees. Okay, and that's it. You found the size of the angle. So I just quickly want to discuss and look at this over here, this cos to the power of -1, because that's definitely not how we're going to say it, right? We're not going to say cos to the -1, 5 over 8. That's incorrect. The correct terminology that you're using here, we actually say arc cos or arc cosine. When you are saying that, right, if I'm saying that in words, I'm telling the listener, I'm telling to whoever's watching that I'm finding the size of an angle, that I've hit shift cos, right? That's the correct wording we would use there is arc cos. So you're going to hear me chopping and changing between saying shift sine, shift cos, shift tan to arc sine, arc cos, arc tan. All right, so saying shift cos is actually meaningless. If I say arc cosine 5/8, then we should know, okay, Claire, you're looking for the size of an angle. Okay, so that's it for example 1, grade 10s. It's actually pretty easy. There's my final answer. Okay, let's have a look at example 2. So in example 2, we're going to find, so this little symbol that looks like a fish, that's called alpha. We're going to find alpha and theta. Okay, that's what we're going to do in this question. So let's start off with alpha, because we should realize at this stage, depending on where your reference angle is, you're going to label your triangle differently. So from the reference angle, all right, that length 10 is the hypotenuse, right? The hypotenuse is always the hypotenuse, longest length straight across from the right angle. The 6 would be the adjacent side, and this length that we don't know is opposite. All right, so from the reference angle, they've given me adjacent, they've given me the hypotenuse. We've created the ratio for cos again in this question. That's fine. So what do? We go, all right, so alpha, if I wanted to find out alpha, right, I'd go cos of the reference angle. Cos of alpha is equal to adjacent 6 over the hypotenuse 10. Now, using your calculator, you're going to go shift cosine 6/10. Or if I say it correctly, we're going to say arc cosine. When I say arc cosine, it's this cos to the -1. So I've hit shift cos on my calculator. I type in the ratio 6/10. And now we can find the size of that angle. So I say shift cos arc cos 6/10. Close your brackets, equals, and that is 53,13 degrees. Awesome. That's so easy, right? Okay, if I solve for, so now I'm going to work with theta. If I want to solve for theta, now I need to label my triangle differently, because now the length 6, from the reference angle theta, the length 6 is now the opposite side. And this is now the adjacent side, the length next to the reference angle. Okay, so where your reference angle is important, because the way you label your triangle will change. That doesn't really look like the word opposite. So 6 is now the opposite length, and this here is now the adjacent length, working from the reference angle theta. All right, so they've given me opposites, and they've given me the hypotenuse. So opposite over hypotenuse makes sine. Good. So sine of theta is equal to opposite 6 over the hypotenuse 10. Now, to solve for the angle, to solve for theta, so I'm going to say it first of all, just the buttons we push. We go shift sine. It makes that sine to the -1, right? When I hit shift sine. What sine to the -1 actually means, so what this is actually saying, the correct terminology, the correct wording would be arc sine. All right. So saying shift sine is actually meaningless. It's arc sine. Arc sine of 6/10. All right. So if I punch that into my calculator, well, let's just quickly show you here. Right, so in this question, to solve for theta, sine theta is equal to 6/10. So I go shift sine, right? What we actually are saying here is arc sine. So shift sine, arc sine, 6/10, close my brackets, theta is equal to 36,87 degrees. Cool, so as we just saw there, from what I did on my calculator, we get that theta is equal to 36,87 degrees. All right, so that's pretty much it, grade 10s. This is how you find the size of an angle when you are given two lengths in the triangle. And we use that shift function on our calculator. Using the shift function on our calculator allows us to get to this, where we can actually find the size of angles. We talk about arc cos, arc sine, and arc tan. And when I'm saying that, you should realize, okay, so what Claire's done, she's finding the size of an angle, she's hit shift and then her appropriate trigonomic function, and she's solved for the angle. All right, well done everyone, and I hope you enjoyed the video.